She said my body is too big for breeding, but one human loved her until she conceived his baby. The night on the alien jungle world was colder than anything Evan Cole had ever felt in his life. His crashed shuttle lay behind him, broken and smoking, its emergency systems dead. The stars above were bright, but the darkness between the trees was even brighter with danger. Strange lights drifted like ghosts, and long shadows moved without sound. Evan hugged himself for warmth as he walked through the thick glowing vines. His breath came out as white fog. Somewhere far away, something huge moved, shaking leaves and branches. He paused. He listened. The ground trembled again, soft but heavy, like footsteps that belonged to something far larger than any human. Evan swallowed hard. He whispered to his recorder, "If anyone finds this, I am still alive. For now." Before he continued, he looked into the camera and said softly, "If you enjoy human and alien stories like this, please subscribe to the channel. It helps more than you know." A cold wind blew through the trees. The temperature dropped even more. Evan kept walking. He needed shelter. He needed heat, but the fog grew thicker and the path ahead almost vanished. Then he heard it. A sound that didn't match the dangerous creatures of this world. A sound so strange that he stopped breathing for a moment. It was crying. A soft, broken voice echoing through the cold jungle night. Not human, not mechanical, something deeper, heavier, shaking with pain. Evan followed the sound, stepping carefully. He pushed through giant leaves taller than him and crossed a glowing creek. The crying grew louder. The ground shook again. He moved closer until he reached a small clearing. The moonlight fell across the scene, lighting it just enough. And that is when he saw her. A massive figure, kneeling in the mud. A giant woman, an alien female at least 13 feet tall. Her skin was pale violet and glowing softly in the cold light. Her hair fell like silver waterfalls over her broad shoulders. Her body was huge, powerful arms, thick legs, wide hips, but she curled into herself as if trying to hide her size. Her hands covered her face as she cried, her shoulders shaking. Even in her size, she looked fragile, vulnerable, broken. Evan froze. He should have run. His training told him to hide, to stay quiet, but something about her pain pulled him forward. A branch snapped under his boot. The giant woman gasped and looked up. Her glowing yellow eyes widened with fear. She tried to stand, but her legs slipped, and she fell back into the mud. "Don't," she whispered, her voice deep but trembling. "Don't look at me, human." Evan raised his empty hands. "It's okay. I'm not here to hurt you." She shook her head violently. Tears rolled down her giant cheeks. She tried to cover her massive body with her arms, ashamed. "My body is too big," she said. "Too big for mating, too big for my clan. I am not breeding material. I am a failure." Evan took a step closer. "Who told you that?" "My people," she whispered. "The males rejected me. The elders said I am wrong, that no offspring can grow inside a body like mine." She touched her side, wincing. Evan noticed blood on her thigh. A long wound ran across her leg, bleeding slowly. "You're hurt," Evan said. "Let me help you." She looked at him in confusion. Why would a human help me? Even my own people did not. Evan walked closer and pulled off his thermal jacket. It was small compared to her huge body, but he placed it gently over her shoulder anyway. "Because you're cold, and you're alone, and no one deserves that." Her chest shook. Her glowing eyes softened. Before she could answer, a deep growl echoed through the clearing. Evan turned fast. "Kea," Huge beast crawled from the shadows. Long teeth, glowing eyes, and claws like knives. Evan backed up. "Stay behind me." The giant woman shook her head. "No, stay behind me." She pushed herself forward with her huge arms, placing her body between Evan and the monster. Even injured, she tried to protect him with her massive size. But the beast lunged. She barely blocked it, grabbing it by the neck. Mud splashed as they rolled. Her wound reopened. Blood flowed fast. She threw the beast away and it fled into the dark. Then her strength failed. She fell forward, right onto Evan. He hit the ground with her weight, covering him like a warm mountain. "Sorry," she whispered weakly. "So sorry." Evan pushed with everything he had until he managed to slide out from under her. She lay still, breathing hard, her eyes half open. He gathered hot stones from glowing plants and placed them around her to keep her warm. He touched her large hand gently. "You're not alone," he whispered. "I'm here. I won't leave you." Night slowly faded into morning. Birds cried. The fog moved away. Evan stayed awake, guarding her the whole time. But as dawn broke, shadows surrounded them. Armed alien soldiers stepped out from the trees, weapons raised. Their leader pointed at the giant woman. "You contaminated the unbreeding giantess," he shouted. "Step away from her, human!" Two soldiers grabbed the unconscious woman and began pulling her away. Evan reached for her hand as she was dragged. Her fingers twitched, as if trying to hold him. "Wait! Don't take her!" Evan yelled. The soldiers ignored him. The giant woman was lifted and carried like cargo. And then the leader aimed his weapon at Evan. "Human," he said coldly. "You were never meant to touch her." Evan stood frozen as the alien soldiers dragged the giant woman away. Their armor glowed with cold blue lights, and each step they took made the ground tremble. The morning sun barely reached through the tall trees, but it was enough to reveal the cruelty in their movements. They treated her not like a person, but like property. The giantess was still unconscious, her silver hair dragging across the dirt, her huge arms limp. Every time her hand slid across the ground, it left deep grooves in the soil, evidence of her size and strength, now powerless in the soldier's grip. Evan's fists tightened. He could still hear her broken voice from the night before. "My body is too big. I am not breeding material." He couldn't let them take her. Not after everything she had survived, not after the way she shielded him. But before Evan could move, the alien leader stepped in front of him. He was tall, armored, and held a long silver staff humming with energy. "Human," the leader said coldly, "you have interfered with restricted biological property. You will not follow. You will not fight. You will remain silent." Evan didn't move out of fear. He moved out of anger. "She's not property," he snapped. "She's alive. She saved me." The alien leader hit the ground with his staff, creating a shockwave that forced Evan to his knees. "You have contaminated her," the leader repeated. "Your touch has violated our protocols." Evan's heart pounded. Contaminated? Violated? Why did they speak like she wasn't even a living being? But before he could speak again, the soldiers dragged her into a hovering cage, something like a reinforced transport pod built for large creatures. The metal walls shifted around her body, tightening as if measuring her size. Evan felt sick. Then, the pod lifted into the air and vanished into the forest sky. Evan sprinted after it, desperation burning in his chest. He didn't know her name. He didn't know her past, but he knew one thing: she didn't deserve this. The secret facility. 2 hours later, Evan finally reached a massive metal structure hidden beneath the jungle canopy. A dome-shaped building pulsed with biolights. Guards marched around it, drones hovered above, and in the center of the highest platform, he saw her. The giant woman was chained from her wrists and ankles, her huge arms pulled outward, her head hung low. She looked even bigger in the bright lights, but somehow smaller inside the chains, weak, alone. Evan hid behind fallen roots and listened. Alien medics circled her, scanning her body with cold precision. "She is still oversized," one medic said. "Her bone density is abnormal. Her hips are too wide for safe breeding. No male will accept her. She is useless." Each sentence cut deeper into her heart. Evan could see it. Her shoulders trembled, her fingers curled, her glowing eyes stayed closed, as if she wanted to disappear. One medic slapped her thigh with a scanner. "This giant has no value," he declared. "Dispose or relocate." Dispose. The word made Evan's blood boil. Before he could think, he slipped through the shadows and entered the building. He crept along pipes and behind crates until he reached the main chamber. And there she was, awake now, but silent. Tears rolled down her cheeks, even though she kept her face turned away from the medics. Evan stepped forward quietly. "Hey," he whispered, "I'm here." Her eyes opened slowly. Shock widened them. "Human? Why?" she whispered. "Why did you come here? They will hurt you." Evan shook his head. "I won't leave you." The guards turned instantly, weapons raised. "Intruder!" one shouted. Evan grabbed a metal pipe and swung, hitting a control panel. Sparks exploded. The chains around the giantess loosened slightly, enough for he to move one arm. The medics panicked. "Restrain her! She must not move!" But the giantess looked only at Evan. Her voice cracked. You came back for me." "Of course I did," Evan answered. Her huge arm swung forward, not to attack the soldiers, but to pull Evan behind her massive palm, shielding him again. Even injured, even chained, she protected him. The soldiers fired stun bolts at her. Sparks exploded across her violet skin. She screamed in pain, but didn't move her hand away from Evan. "Stop hurting her!" Evan shouted. The leader entered again, slamming his staff into the floor. "You will both be removed from this facility at once. This giantess is unbreeding. She has no purpose." Evan stepped in front of her before she could stop him. "She has a purpose," he yelled. "She saved my life. She fought for me. She protected me with her whole body. That means something." The leader raised his staff again. "No value," he said sharply. "She is defective." The giantess closed her eyes. Her breath hitched. Her face twisted in pain, not from the stun bolts, but from his words. Evan saw it. Her shame, her fear, her belief that she was worthless. He stepped closer to her massive face and said loudly, "You are not defective. You are strong. You are beautiful. You are worth saving." Her glowing eyes filled with tears. "Evan," she whispered, "my name is Lyra." Lyra. He finally knew her name. Before she could say more, alarms blasted. The leader shouted, "Remove them from here! Throw them outside the borders! Let the wilderness finish the job!" Soldiers grabbed Evan. Others loosened Lyra's chains and shoved her toward a loading gate. She didn't fight back. Her body trembled with exhaustion and shame. But as the soldiers dragged them toward the exit, Evan noticed something. Lyra wasn't crying from pain now. She was crying because she thought he was being punished for helping her. She believed her giant body was ruining his life. "Evan," she whispered weakly, "I bring danger. You should leave me." "Not happening," he said firmly. "I'm staying with you." The soldiers pushed them out of the facility, throwing them into the jungle dirt like garbage. And then, from deep within the forest, a massive roar echoed. Lyra froze. The ground shook. Something huge moved toward them. The soldiers locked the door and disappeared. Evan and Lyra were alone, and the thing coming for them was even bigger than her. The roar echoed through the trees like thunder. Even the thick jungle floor vibrated beneath Evan's boots. Lyra's huge body stiffened, her breath shaking. She wasn't afraid for herself. Her eyes were locked on Evan, as if his safety was the only thing that mattered. Something massive moved behind the glowing trees. Branches snapped, leaves rained down. A low growl rolled across the clearing. Evan whispered, "Lyra." "What is that?" Lyra swallowed hard. "A Krovax beast, bigger than me, stronger than me. It hunts anything that breathes." She took one step back, placing her enormous frame between Evan and the sound. "Stay behind me. Do not move." Evan obeyed, though his heart hammered in his chest. Lyra's huge hand lowered protectively, forming a wall of violet skin in front of him. The creature emerged, a towering monster, 4 arms, glowing red eyes, armored hide, and a mouth full of jagged teeth. Its breath came out in hot clouds. Its claws dug into the soil, carving deep lines. It stared at Lyra, then at Evan, then back at Lyra. Lyra tightened her fists. Despite her injuries and exhaustion, she stood tall, her muscles flexing. "Go," she whispered to Evan. "If I do not survive, run." Evan shook his head. "I'm not leaving you." The Krovax roared and charged. Lyra moved fast, faster than Evan expected for someone her size. She blocked the first strike with her forearm. The impact shook the ground. Pain flashed in her eyes, but she didn't step back. The beast struck again, claws scraping her shoulder. Blood burst across her skin. Evan shouted, "Lyra!" She ignored the pain and tackled the creature. They collided with a force that shook the trees. The Krovax rolled, smashing into rocks. Lyra grabbed its lower jaw with both hands and tried to push it away, but the beast thrashed wildly. Evan knew he couldn't just watch. He ran to a fallen spear from the facility. Guards and grabbed it. "Hey!" he yelled. "Over here!" The beast turned toward him. Lyra's heart dropped. "No! Evan, stay back!" But the Krovax charged at the human. Evan braced himself, but before the beast could reach him, Lyra slammed into it, tackling it sideways. She wrapped her huge arms around its neck and twisted. Bones cracked. The creature screeched. With one final roar, Lyra threw the beast into a tree so hard the trunk snapped in half. The monster collapsed, defeated. Silence fell. Lyra staggered, her knees buckled. Evan ran to her. "Lyra, are you okay?" She tried to stay upright but fell to one knee. Blood dripped from multiple wounds. She lowered her head so Evan could reach her face. "I am alive," she whispered, "because of you." "Because of me?" Evan shouted. "You just fought a mountain with teeth." Lyra smiled weakly. "I have fought many things, but never for someone who came back for me." Her words hit Evan harder than the beast's roar. He reached up and touched her cheek. She closed her eyes, leaning into his small hand. For the first time, her huge body relaxed. But the peace didn't last. Thunder cracked as a storm formed overhead, dark clouds twisting unnaturally fast. Lyra looked up sharply. "No," she whispered. "Not this. Not now." "What is it?" Evan asked. "A storm of venom rain," Lyra said. "It burns skin. We must move." She scooped Evan up despite her wounds and carried him through the jungle. Her huge steps shook the earth. Lightning flashed above. The air filled with the smell of acid. "I know a place," she said breathlessly. "A cave. I used to hide there when I was young." They reached an ancient cave marked with glowing symbols, giant female warriors carved on the walls. Evan stared in wonder. "You said your people rejected you," he said. But your ancestors, they honored giant women. Lyra traced one symbol with her finger. Long ago, yes, but not anymore. I am considered too large, too strong, too dangerous. You protected me, Evan said softly. Your size saved us both. Lyra froze. Then she whispered, no one has ever said that before. Inside the cave, the storm raged outside. Acid rain hissed when it hit the leaves. Lyra set Evan down gently. He gathered herbs and glowing leaves to treat her wounds. When he pressed the healing leaves against her cut shoulder, Lyra tensed. You must not touch me, she said quietly. Your hands are small, fragile. I could hurt you. Evan shook his head. You won't. She didn't speak after that. She simply watched him, her glowing yellow eyes soft. No one had ever treated her injuries with care. No one had stayed close enough to see her pain. As Evan wrapped her wounds with vines, he stood on a rock so he could reach her neck and shoulder. Lyra blushed, something strange to see on a giant face. You are brave, she whispered. He smiled. You are gentle. Her breath caught. No one had ever used that word for her. They shared food, stories, and warmth. Lyra taught him a word from her lang, Wej, Nara, meaning my chosen one. She didn't explain why she chose that word for him. The storm passed hours later, but before they could leave, the ground shook again, this time from a different direction. A low mechanical hum filled the air. Lyra's eyes widened with fear. The facility, she whispered. They sent drones. They know we escaped. Evan's stomach twisted. What do we do? Lyra lifted him gently in her arms, her voice low and firm. We run. But as they stepped outside, a searchlight blasted through the trees. Dozens of drones hovered overhead, and behind them, alien soldiers. Dozens, maybe hundreds. Evan's heart stopped. Lyra whispered, They are here for me, and they will kill you. The soldiers raised their weapons. A voice shouted through a speaker, Capture the Giantess, kill the human. The clearing exploded with lights as the alien soldiers advanced. Dozens of drones hovered above, forming a circle of blinding beams around Lyra and Evan. The metal armor of the soldiers reflected the harsh white glow, making them look like an army of shadows instead of living beings. Evan felt Lyra's heartbeat through her arms, deep, powerful, but shaking with fear, not fear for herself, fear for him. The commander's voice echoed through the loudspeaker, cold and sharp. Giantess Lyra of Clan Vora, surrender immediately. The human contaminant will be executed on sight. Evan's blood turned cold. Lyra's grip tightened around him protectively. No, she whispered. I will not lose you. The soldiers lifted their weapons. Red targeting lasers locked onto Evan's chest. Lyra, put me down, Evan shouted. You can't fight all of them. I can, she said, if it means saving you. She turned and ran toward the trees, every massive step shaking the ground. The soldiers opened fire. Energy bolts sliced through the air, hitting trees, rocks, and roots. Sparks exploded around them. Lyra shielded Evan with her enormous body, taking several hits on her back and arms. She didn't stop, didn't slow. Even injured, she pushed through thick jungle vines like they were nothing. Lyra, you're hurt, Evan yelled. Pain is nothing, she said. Losing you would destroy me. Behind them, the commander barked an order. Deploy the nets. Do not let her escape. Mechanical whirs filled the air. Drones dropped heavy energy nets that crackled with electric force. Lyra leaped forward, but one net struck her legs. The shock sent electricity through her huge body. She stumbled, collapsing to one knee. Evan rolled out of her arms to help her. "Lyra!" The electricity made her muscles spasm painfully. She roared and grabbed the net, tearing it apart with raw strength. Sparks flew everywhere as she ripped it into pieces. She stood up slowly, shaking, breathing heavily, but still ready to protect him. "Lyra, why are they doing this to you?" Evan asked. Her eyes darkened. "Because I am a mistake. My body is too big, too strong, too different. My people decided long ago that giant females like me are useless for breeding, dangerous, better to be controlled or hidden." Evan stepped closer. "You are not a mistake." Lyra looked away. "You do not understand. My clan, my world. They think I am wrong, that no child can grow inside me, that no male can stand beside me, that I am cursed." Evan reached out and touched her massive hand. "I stand beside you." Lyra's breath caught. For a moment, all the fear and pain in her huge glowing eyes turned into something warm, something soft, something she had never shown anyone. Then the storm returned. Drones dropped flash grenades. A blinding light exploded across the forest. Lyra reacted instantly. She grabbed Evan, pressed him against her chest, and fell backward behind a fallen giant root to shield him. The grenades detonated. The forest filled with white smoke. Lyra coughed, holding Evan close. "I cannot fight them forever." Evan wiped her cheek gently. "We need to find shelter." "I know a place," she whispered, "a hidden root den. But there is something I must tell you before we reach it." Evan looked up at her. "What is it?" She hesitated, something rare for someone so strong. Her voice softened. "Evan, I feel something for you. Something I have never felt for anyone." Evan stared at her, breathless. "I should not feel this," Lyra said. "My size, my strength, my scars. I am not gentle like human women. I am not small. I am not beautiful. You deserve someone closer to you, someone proper-sized, someone your own species." Evan stepped closer until he stood beside her knee. "Lyra, look at me." Looked down slowly. "You saved my life," Evan said. "You fought for me. You carried me. You protected me from monsters and soldiers and storms. You are gentle. You are strong. And you are beautiful." Lyra's glowing yellow eyes widened. A tear rolled down her cheek and fell like a drop of light. "No one has ever said that to me," she whispered. "Not once in my whole life." Evan placed his hand on her enormous finger. "Then let me be the first." Lyra closed her eyes and leaned closer to him. For a moment, the world felt still. No drones, no soldiers, no danger. Just a giant woman finally feeling seen, and a human who meant every word. But the moment shattered as a massive explosion erupted behind them. The soldiers had fired a heavy charge. Lyra grabbed Evan and ran again, crashing through thick vines. Energy blasts flew past them, burning holes in the trees. She didn't stop until they reached a hollow root, an ancient shelter big enough for her to crawl inside. She slid in, placing Evan carefully on a patch of moss. Outside, soldiers shouted and drones scanned. "We cannot stay long," Lyra whispered, "but we have a moment." Her breathing was heavy. Her huge hands trembled, not from fear, but from emotion. Evan placed his palm on her arm. "Lyra, what you said before, I feel something too." Her heart stopped. Before she could answer, a metallic voice echoed outside. "We have located the Giantess. Charge the primary stun cannon." Lyra's eyes widened in horror. A cannon blast strong enough to bring down a ship, and it was aimed at her. The stun cannon charged with a rising hum that shook the forest. Bright blue energy gathered at its mouth like a growing star. Even from inside the hollow root, the air vibrated. Evan felt the hairs on his arms lift from the static. Lyra's glowing eyes widened. She knew the weapon, knew its purpose. "It will kill me," she whispered, "instantly." Evan grabbed her hand. "Then we run. Now." But Lyra didn't move. Not yet. She stared at him, really stared, her huge chest rising and falling in panic. "If they kill me," she said shakily, "they will kill you next. Because of me. Because I cared for you. Because you came back." "Lyra," her voice broke, "I cannot lose you." A sudden snap shouted through the forest. The cannon fired. "Lyra, move!" Evan screamed. Lyra threw herself sideways, grabbing Evan in her massive hand and rolling across the ground. The cannon blast tore through the root shelter, blowing it into burning splinters. Evan felt heat brush his back as Lyra shielded him with her whole body. When the blast faded, Lyra slowly uncurled, her back smoking from the hit she barely escaped. The commander's voice thundered across the clearing. "Target is still alive. Prepare second shot." Lyra trembled, not from fear, from rage. A deep, low growl rose from her chest, an ancient sound that echoed through the jungle. Her eyes glowed brighter, shifting from soft yellow to burning gold. Evan stepped back slightly. "Lyra, what's happening?" "My instinct," she whispered. "It awakens when someone I care for is threatened." She stood tall, bleeding, wounded, shaking, but towering with fierce power. And for the first time, Evan saw her not as someone hiding her size, but as someone who could command the world with it. Drones swarmed around them. Soldiers locked weapons. The cannon charged again. Lyra's muscles coiled. "Stay behind me," she said softly. "This tie, me, I fight for real." She stomped forward, the ground cracking under her feet. The soldiers hesitated, just for a second, but that was enough. Lyra slammed her hand into the earth, creating a shockwave that sent several soldiers flying. She grabbed a hovering drone mid-air, crushed its metal body with one hand, and threw it like a spear. It pierced through 3 more drones. Bolts of energy hit her shoulders and back. She roared but didn't stop. She grabbed 2 soldiers by their armor and smashed them together. Evan watched in awe. He had seen her strength before, but never like this. She was unstoppable. The commander shouted, "Restrain her! Use all units!" A team of soldiers fired energy nets. Lyra slashed them apart with her claws. Shockwaves lit her skin, but she pushed through them like a raging storm. Then she saw it, the cannon charging again. Lyra sprinted. Her enormous foot crashed into the ground, sending dust flying. She reached the cannon, grabbed its metal frame, and tore it from the ground. Sparks shot into the sky. The soldiers stared in horror. "No weapon," Lyra growled. "Will take him from me." She snapped the cannon in half. Evan felt his heart stop. No one had ever fought for him like this. No one had ever risked everything like this. But Lyra wasn't done. Another wave of drones dove toward Evan. Lyra reacted instantly. She threw herself across him, shielding his small body with her arms. The drones exploded against her back, burning her skin. Evan slammed his hand against her arm. "Lyra, you're getting hurt. Stop!" But Lyra lifted her head, eyes glowing fiercely. "I will not let them harm you." Then something happened, something neither of them expected. Her knees buckled. Her hands trembled. Her breath caught. She collapsed forward, one hand catching the ground, her whole body shaking. "Lyra?" Evan ran to her side. Her huge hand reached toward him weakly. "Something is wrong. Inside me. My chest. My stomach. Everything feels different." Energy bolts struck the ground near them. She didn't move. "Lyra, we have to go," Evan shouted. "I cannot stand," she whispered. The commander approached with a satisfied smirk. "The Giantess is failing. Her oversized body cannot maintain combat. She was always defective." Lyra flinched at his words. The shame returned in an instant. Evan saw it, the way her eyes dimmed, the way her shoulders curled inward. "Don't listen to him," Evan said. "You're not defective." But the commander pointed his weapon. "End the human. Collect the Giantess for disposal." A dozen soldiers moved toward Evan. Lyra's eyes widened. She tried to reach for him, but her body refused to respond. And then Evan did something no one expected. He grabbed a fallen soldier's weapon. He stood in front of Lyra. He aimed it directly at the commander. "Touch her," Evan said, voice steady, "and I'll burn this whole forest down." The soldiers froze. The commander tilted his head. "A human? Threatening us?" Evan stepped closer. "She saved me. She protected me. She risked her life again and again. I will not let you take her." The commander smiled cruelly. "You cannot protect her. She can barely breathe." Evan didn't look back at Lyra as he said, "Then I'll protect her the way she protected me." Lyra's eyes widened. Tears gathered. Her breath trembled. "Evan, don't," she whispered. He tightened his grip on the weapon. "I'm not leaving you." The commander lifted his staff. "Kill him." But before the soldiers could fire, a deep pulse of energy shook the ground. Evan turned. Lyra's skin glowed, brighter than before. Gold threads of light ran along her arms, chest, and stomach. She looked terrified. "Evan," she whispered, "something is happening to me." Her hand covered her abdomen. I think something is growing inside me." Evan froze. The commander stepped back in shock. Lyra gasped as a wave of warmth spread through her body. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Evan, I think I am pregnant." The jungle went silent. Even the soldiers stopped moving. Even the drones lowered their cannons. Even the commander, always calm and cruel, took one small step backward. Because Lyra, the unbreeding giantess, the woman her people rejected, the one they said could never carry a child, was glowing. Golden light pulsed beneath her violet skin, flowing along the curves of her huge arms, down her legs, across her chest, and gathering at her stomach. Lyra stared at her own body in shock, her enormous hand trembling as she touched the glowing area. "Evan," she whispered, "this cannot be. My species tested me since I was young. They said I cannot make life. They said my body is wrong." Evan crouched beside her huge form, placing his small hand over hers. They were wrong. Lyra shook her head, fear tightening her breath. "But I feel something inside me, something warm, something new." "Evan, what is this?" Before he could answer, a loud crack sounded behind them. The commander recovered from his shock. His voice rose again, cold and sharp. "This changes nothing. A giantess carrying a hybrid is even more dangerous. Kill the human. Capture her alive. Soldiers lifted their weapons. Evan stepped in front of Lyra again. You're not touching her. The commander smirked. You cannot fight an army, human. That's the thing, Evan said quietly. I'm not alone. The golden glow around Lyra intensified. The light spread across her chest, her throat, her limbs. Her muscles tightened like they were waking from a long sleep. Lyra gasped, gripping the earth. I feel stronger. The commander shouted, Fire! Energy bolts shot through the air. Lyra reacted instantly. She pulled Evan close and rolled to the side. The bolts hit the ground where they had been standing, burning the soil. Something changed inside her, a shift, a surge. Her voice was deeper now, more powerful. They will not harm you, or our child. Evan's breath caught. Our child. Her words felt unreal, impossible, but true. The soldiers fired again. Lyra slammed her hand into the earth, creating a shock wave that knocked the front row off their feet. Drones spun out of control. Leaves flew like a storm. But after the shock wave, Lyra slumped forward on one knee. She gasped in pain. Lyra! Evan caught her huge hand. What's happening? She clutched her stomach again. The energy inside me. It is strong. Too strong. It is new. My body is trying to understand it. Evan held her hand tighter. I won't let them take you. Or the baby. Her eyes softened. Evan, a giantess child is not small. Even in the beginning, it demands strength. It changes everything. My body feels confused. Her voice shook. I am scared. And for a moment, Lyra didn't look like a huge warrior. She looked like a woman terrified for her future. But the moment ended when a shot hit the ground inches from Evan's foot. The commander roared, Aim for the human! The giantess is weakened! Lyra screamed in anger. No! She bellowed, her voice shaking the trees. She lunged forward, grabbing a soldier and throwing him aside with effortless force. She used her massive arm like a shield, blocking more fire. One bolt struck her shoulder. Another hit her hip. She kept fighting. But Evan noticed something. The more she protected him, the more the golden light flickered, as if the pregnancy energy inside her responded to danger. Or fear. Lyra, stop! You're hurting yourself, Evan shouted. I cannot, she cried. If you die, this new life inside me dies too. I must protect both of you. A sudden tremor shook through her. She fell to both knees, groaning, her huge hand pressed against her stomach again. Evan ran to her, touching her massive cheek. Listen to me. You are not alone. We'll run. We'll hide. We just need to get away from them. Her golden eyes softened. Evan, will you stay with me? Even now? Always, he said. Her whole body shivered. Behind them, the commander snarled, Finish it! Kill him now! 3 soldiers aimed at Evan. Lyra tried to stand but collapsed again, her strength fading. Evan raised the stolen plasma weapon, but he had only 1 shot left. Drones moved in. Soldiers prepared the strike. Evan aimed, knowing this wasn't enough. Then, a thunderous boom echoed through the jungle. All soldiers froze. All drones turned. Something massive was coming, from deep within the forest. Trees snapped. The earth shook. The commander shouted, What is that? Lyra's eyes widened. No, not now. Evan looked at her. Lyra, what is it? She grabbed him with shaky arms, pulling him closer protectively. Her voice was a trembling wispy. Tell. A titan beast. drawn by the energy inside me. Before Evan could respond, a colossal creature burst into the clearing, towering even above Lyra. 4 burning eyes, armor-like skin, massive claws, and a roar that made the soldiers drop their weapons. Everyone stood frozen, except the Titan. It charged, straight toward Lyra, straight toward their unborn child. Evan screamed her name. Lyra forced herself to stand, her whole body glowing like fire. She spread her arms wide, her massive body between Evan and the monster charging to kill them both. The Titan beast charged with the force of an avalanche. Trees cracked under its massive legs. The jungle floor shook so violently that even the alien soldiers stumbled. Its roar tore through the forest like the sound of a collapsing mountain. Evan felt his heart stop. If that thing reached Lyra, if it reached the life growing inside her, there would be nothing left. Lyra stood in front of Evan, body glowing with golden light, muscles tense, eyes burning with fierce protectiveness, but she could hardly breathe. Her legs trembled, her arms shook. The new life inside her demanded strength, and she no longer had enough. Still, she didn't run. She didn't hide. She lifted her huge arms and faced the Titan. Evan grabbed her leg, shouting up at her, "Lyra, you can't fight it alone!" She looked down, eyes soft despite the terror. "I am not fighting alone, Evan. I fight for you, and for our child." The Titan leaped. Lyra pushed Evan behind her and braced herself. The creature crashed into her, sending shock waves through the jungle. She slid backward, digging her heels into the ground. Bark flew, stones shattered. The soldiers scattered, shouting in panic. Even the commander backed away. Lyra grappled with the Titan, her enormous arms locking around its neck. But she was weakening. Her glowing light flickered. The beast pressed her down, inch by inch. Evan ran around her side, shouting, "Lyra, hold on!" The Titan roared and pushed her chest backward, her spine bent, her knees buckled. Lyra screamed in pain. Golden light burst from her stomach. The Titan paused, its eyes widening at the glowing brightness. It sensed the unborn life. It sensed power. It attacked harder. Lyra cried out, falling to one knee. Her arms trembled. Her strength was fading fast. Evan's chest filled with fire. He grabbed a fallen soldier's explosive charge and jumped onto the Titan's back. He stabbed the device into the creature's thick hide. The Titan roared and bucked violently, throwing Evan into the mud. Lyra gasped in terror as Evan hit the ground. "Evan!" she screamed. The Titan turned toward him, its claws lifted, but then a huge violet fist slammed into its jaw. Lyra, shaking with emotion and fear, rose again. She stood over Evan like a colossal shield. "You will not harm him!" she roared with everything she had left. Her whole body exploded with golden light. The ground shook so violently that trees uprooted, soldiers fell. The commander dropped his weapon, staring in disbelief. The Titan staggered back, blinded by the glow, and then Lyra slammed both fists into the ground. A wave of pure energy erupted from her like a golden shockwave. The Titan was thrown backward, smashing into a boulder with earth-shattering force. It let out one final roar before collapsing, defeated. Silence fell. Lyra swayed, her light fading, her breath uneven. She dropped to her knees and cradled Evan gently with her massive hands. "Evan," she whispered, "are you hurt?" He coughed, then laughed weakly. "I'm alive, thanks to you." She smiled softly, but her body trembled with exhaustion. The glow around her stomach pulsed slowly, weak but steady. "You protected both of us," Evan said, touching her giant cheek. "You saved our baby too." Her eyes filled with tears. I never believed I could make life. I never believed someone would fight for me. But you changed everything. Before he could answer, a loud hum filled the air. Dozens of sleek silver ships descended from the sky, circling above the battlefield. Their symbols glowed bright, the Galactic Council. The commander screamed, "No! The Council cannot be here now!" Council envoys stepped out, tall, robed, glowing with authority. They looked at the destroyed facility, the dead soldiers, the Ken drones, the Titan's body, and finally, at Lyra. One envoy spoke calmly. "Report. We detected a hybrid life sign of great power." The commander fell to his knees. "It is a mistake, a contamination. The Giantess is defective." The envoy held up a hand, silencing him. "Giantess Lyra," the envoy announced, "you carry a new life, a hybrid child with strength unlike anything recorded." Lyra lowered her head. "Is this forbidden?" The envoy shook their head. "It is extraordinary, a miracle, proof that your species judged you wrongly." Evan felt relief wash over him. The envoy continued, "You and the human will be offered protection, a home, a safe place to raise the child." Lyra's eyes widened. "A home?" "Yes," the envoy said, "a peaceful valley, far from war, far from rejection." Lyra looked at Evan, waiting, hope shining in her eyes. Evan smiled. "Let's go, all of us." Her huge hand reached down. Evan climbed onto her palm. She held him close, pressing him gently to her glowing stomach, feeling the soft, warm pulse of their unborn child. Tears rolled down her cheeks. "My body was never too big," she whispered, voice trembling with emotion. "It was only waiting for the right human." Evan leaned into her touch. "And I think our child agrees." Lyra laughed softly, a sound full of joy, power, and new beginnings. She stood tall, cradling the life inside her and the human who loved her. Together, they walked toward the council ships. Together, they left the jungle behind. Together, they started a new future, as a family.